More than half of Americans surveyed said they would not support former President Trump in 2024 general election if he is the Republican nominee, according to a poll released Wednesday. I forgot the. The Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs research poll found that 53% of Americans said they would definitely not support Trump if he was the nominee. Another 11% said they would probably not support him. These new numbers come as GOP support for Trump has seemingly grown since April. Even as the former president faced a number of legal challenges, 63% of Republicans in the poll said they want Trump to run again, which is slightly up from April, when 55% answered the same way. About 7 in 10 Republicans are also now have a favorable view of the former president, up from 60% just over 2 months ago. Nearly three-quarters of Republicans also said they would support Trump if he becomes a GOP nominee, according to the poll, which was conducted before Trump and 18 allies were indicted Monday in Georgia related to efforts to overturn 2020 election in the state. Opposition to President Biden is not as strong as it is to Trump, with just 43% of Americans saying they would definitely not vote for him in 2024. Another 11% said they probably would not. The poll was conducted August 10th to 14th among 1,165 adults and has a margin of error of plus or minus 3.8 percentage points. Am I surprised by these results as far as the Republican support for him being so high? Not at all, because as we've established, and Trump himself has even said he could shoot someone and they would still like him. So that it doesn't shock me that as he's facing all these criminal charges, they won't abandon him and will really not consider anyone besides him. In fact, I'd say the charges are actually helping him get support in the primary, which is hilarious when you consider that this is the party of law and order, uh, heavily backing the candidate with multiple indictments and other charges facing him. But I digress. Now, the part of this that's really interesting is where we get to the independents. So like the regular voters who are saying that they're definitely not going to support Trump. Because if you add the 11% that say they probably would not, that's roughly, what, 64% who are saying they either definitely are not voting for Trump or they are most likely not going to vote for him. And that's a very big deal because that's a 10-point lead over what Biden has, which means that in the general election, if Biden is able to consolidate the vote of people who say they would under no circumstance vote for Trump, he's going to win. Again, there might be third party candidates like, Cornel West or the Green Party, whatever. I've already said before, I'm not enthusiastic about Biden. I'm not voting for him, but it's very serious that if Trump is this unpopular and Biden is able to appeal to quote unquote regular people who otherwise would look at an election between Democrats and Republicans, go, okay, I guess I could swing either way and say, oh no, I'm not supporting Trump after all that crazy stuff in the last few years. He has a very good chance of victory. In fact, I would call him the odds-on favorite to win, but it really just depends on how he campaigns. We haven't really seen that much of him. That's actually one of the reasons why people wanted someone else, because they feel like he's been hiding in his bunker. And like I said, Trump's just chaotic nature is coming back to haunt him. Like a lot of American voters are not cultish like the Republican voters are. They look at January 6th as this really crazy attempt to overturn the election, because it was a really crazy attempt to overturn the election. They look at a lot of his speeches and his proposals and think they're extreme. I mean, when you're talking about getting retribution if you're reelected, or finding a way to repeal the birthright citizenship, even though you were in office for 4 years and never could find a way to actually do that. They either see what he's proposing as extreme, or are basically asking the question of, if you could really make a change that is so, even if it was something that they supposedly would be okay with, why didn't you do it during the 4 years that you were there? I really think that Biden in the general election needs to focus on Trump's term as president and like mix that in with the things that he's said or done since then. Like, hey, Trump was someone who said that he was going to crack down on all of this crime, but I mean, I'm looking at those indictments. They don't seem like the types of things a squeaky clean citizen would have. And he was someone who said that he didn't want the Republicans to cut Social Security. But then when you look at or Medicare or Medicaid or any of these other very popular programs, but if you look at his budget proposals when he was president, that was included in each and every one of them. This is someone who says he's for the forgotten man and woman, but then he has this tax cut that was really his only accomplishment, if you want to call it that gave 83% of the cuts to the, you know, to the wealthiest in the country. So you could easily just bury him in his actual term and the stuff that he's done since then, because I think those two together are going to make him very unappealing to regular voters. And people who like him don't want to face the fact that when he ran the second time, the margin of votes that he lost the popular vote by was even bigger. The first time he was at 62 million to Hillary's 65 million. Against Biden, yeah, he increased his number of votes to 70 something or 70 million, 74 million. But Biden had roughly 7 million more votes, and that just shows you that there were a lot of people who just don't want him to be president. So I hope that that same group of people, who's probably become larger since January 6th, I would think, will consolidate their votes and just make sure that he's not able to get another term. I would like to see that.